And hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. I'm Doug Proffitt. Our top story here tonight, the man accused of sexually harassing people in the downtown Louisville Medical Hospital District is incompetent to stand trial again. However, as our Ian Hardwitt and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton tell us, the court still needs to weigh in on the medical opinion as they reconsider an old case.
Incompetent to stand trial. That's the professional opinion of the psychiatrist who examined Antonio Coleman during his time at Central State Hospital. She referenced his history going all the way back to when he was a fifth grader at JCPS, saying he had low intellectual abilities. However, the court still needs to decide if Coleman is incompetent again. This 2022 rape case he's facing was dismissed for incompetency before. So were a string of 5 sexual harassment allegations from late 2023 and early 2024 taking place in Louisville's medical district.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God.
The psychiatrist who examined Coleman believes even if medicated, Coleman's condition will remain the same.
I mean, it is possible that it was exacerbated by substance use, but yes, considering that it has been happening for a while, it's likely something that he potentially was born with.
During interviews, she determined that Coleman only understood about 1 in 4 court concepts and failed to grasp the major roles of people working in the courtroom. His defense attorney, Kay Christian, confirmed with the psychiatrist the findings of a 2023 evaluation of Coleman, saying he struggled with basic living.
Spending or using money, buying groceries, making meals, things of that nature.
If the court deems Coleman incompetent again, the prosecutor will seek involuntary mental health treatment for Coleman. In Louisville, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS11, on your side.
Now, the judge in this case is expected to issue a final decision on the competency on Monday, July 22nd. Our other tough story we're following here closely at 5. The first man arrested in the murder of Crystal Rogers of Bardstown appeared in court today via Zoom. Joseph Lawson is accused of driving her car to the Bluegrass Parkway 9 years ago. That was the night she disappeared. Joseph Lawson is asking for his case to be tried separately from his dad, Steve Lawson, who once worked for the chief suspect, Brooks Houck. Our Shea McAllister and chief photojournalist Philip Merle are reporting from the Nelson County courtroom.
Crystal Rogers' family has promised they will not miss a court date. Today, they stayed true to that. Crystal's brother Casey and his wife right up front in the courtroom. Sherry Ballard, Crystal's mom, appeared over video, and so did Joseph Lawson. Lawson is charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. His dad, Steve Lawson, says it was Joseph who drove Crystal's maroon sedan to the Bluegrass Parkway, where the car broke down. Steve then alleges that Joseph called him to be picked up. And then Steve told police after he picked up his son, they called Brooks Houck to tell him the job was done. Joseph's attorney says they want his case tried separately from Steve's. Steve has repeatedly connected his son to Crystal's disappearance in those police interviews and in grand jury testimony. Today in court, the attorneys decided to postpone any decisions until next month's court date, when Steve Lawson will also be in front of a judge.
Judge, we've been talking especially about the severance issue as well as some discovery matters. I think what the agreement we've come to, if it's accepted with the court, is we would like to put this matter on with Stephen Lawson's case on August 8th at 1:30 to see what Mr. Lawson's attorney and his attorney's decision is as it relates to the 410 statements on Steve Lawson. And that will give us some direction on which way we're going and which way we're going to proceed with Mr. Joseph Lawson.
And a looming question here in this case is, where will this trial be held? We know it won't be here in Nelson County. Attorneys had suggested Christian County. Today, they told me that the judge isn't entirely pleased with that selection, so they're still looking. In Nelson County, I'm Shea McAllister, WHAS 11, on your side.
The defense for Brooks Houck, the main suspect in Crystal's murder, is also trying to get his case separated from the Lawsons. But the prosecution wants them tried together, citing consistent testimony, cost on the taxpayers, and the trauma of reliving the case would have on Crystal's family. A judge said he'll deliberate on that and come back with a ruling later this month. The trial for all 3 men is still currently set for February 2025. And stay right here with us. Coming up live at 5:30 in just a few minutes, Nick Mudd of the Mudd Law Group in Louisville is going to share his expert opinion on the developments in the Crystal Rogers case. He has been following this case from the beginning very closely. He'll talk about the evidence that is known so far. It's coming up live at 5:30. More local news here at 5 o'clock. 2 teenagers are charged with murder for their alleged role in the shooting of a 13-year-old boy. One of the boys is 15 years old. The other is 16. They're accused of shooting and killing Davion Blackman last month. He was shot about 10:30 at night in an alleyway at 38th Street. The 2 teenagers were arrested last night by LMPD. The 15-year-old is charged with murder. The 16-year-old charged with conspiracy to murder. A man's in court today accused of killing someone in the parking lot of a Russell neighborhood business. Alonzo Thomas appeared before the judge this morning. Police arrested Thomas, saying he shot Thaddeus Miller on July 10th. Investigators believe the 2 men were fighting in the parking lot of a liquor store on West Chestnut Street. Then Thomas allegedly loaded his gun and shot Miller. The judge set his bond today at $250,000. We're all waking up today and throwing open the windows, driving around with the windows down. What a treat. Look at those skies as we are heading in the evening hours. Even the Ohio River looking a little bluer than normal there. Let's check in with Alden German as we are tracking a lower humidity tonight. What are those low temperatures going to be tonight, Alden?
Oh, they're going to be very comfortable. Maybe weather where you can leave the air conditioner off and open up a window, but you're going to have that breeze come in just right. It was still a pretty pleasant morning for us. We got down to 68 degrees here in the metro, 61 up in Madison and in Bedford. So certainly a cool start to the day for some of us. But as Doug mentioned, it's beautiful outside. July can be very, very hot, of course, but right now it's only 82 degrees, only 79 out at Bowman Field. We don't have much of a heat index. Winds are out the northwest, a bit on the breezy side, 15 gusting up to around 20 miles per hour. But that's helped to bring in a lot of that drier, less humid air into our area today. And that's why it feels so nice. Looking at our high-res visible satellite, just some fair weather cumulus clouds around, a little bit of a hole almost right along the Ohio River there, but otherwise things are looking very nice for the rest of this evening, pleasantly cool, and our lows should dip even a few degrees more than they did this morning, down into the lower 60s for most areas with those clear skies. Temperatures are going to warm up a little bit more this weekend. I'll let you know just how high we expect to be getting ahead.
And it's a big night for presidential politics. Live right now, you are taking a look at Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the Republican National Convention, getting ready to hear from their presidential nominee a little later tonight. Donald Trump is expected to make that keynote speech, closing out the convention tonight. He's going to do it with a rewritten speech since the assassination attempt. It's a speech that is going to apparently call for unity. It'll be Donald Trump's first major public address since he was wounded in the assassination attempt last Saturday night. It comes as President Joe Biden announced now that he is sick with COVID and is going to have to take a break from the campaign trail. Here's ABC's Mary Alice Parks breaking down the political developments.
The Republican National Convention in Milwaukee building to this moment. Tonight, former President Donald Trump, twice impeached, criminally convicted, facing more criminal indictments, having survived an assassination attempt, now set to accept the Republican Party nomination for president for the 3rd time. In this video obtained by PBS, telling supporters at a private event Wednesday that God was with him last weekend.
Amazing thing, and in many ways it changes your attitude, your viewpoint on life. And I think, honestly, I think you appreciate God even more.
Trump entering the convention each night like a boxer coming to an arena. And tonight on tap before he takes the stage, WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Fighting Championship CEO Dana White. Vice presidential candidate Senator J.D. Vance in the spotlight last night, saying growing up poor in rural Ohio shaped his beliefs and making a direct appeal to voters in key battleground Rust Belt states.
I promise you this. I will be a vice president who never forgets where he came from.
This as Democrats struggle to chart a path forward. Serious questions mounting about President Biden's re-election bid. Today, President Biden now off the campaign trail at a time that he had hoped to ramp up, instead recovering from COVID. Former President Barack Obama, now the latest Democrat to reportedly express concerns about Biden winning in November. The Washington Post reporting Obama told allies that Biden needs to seriously consider the viability of this candidacy. But today, Biden's deputy campaign manager insisting the president isn't going anywhere.
Our campaign is not working through any scenarios where President Biden is not the top of the ticket. He is and will be the Democratic nominee.
Here in Milwaukee, we are expected to see most of the Trump family here tonight, including former First Lady Melania Trump. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Milwaukee.
So we're continuing our coverage on this right now as dozens of Kentucky delegates are going to be right on the convention floor tonight. They'll be watching the former president live, and Isaiah Kim Martinez is with me here now. You've been talking with some of them who are actually in Milwaukee here today, Isaiah. What are they going to be watching for in Donald Trump's speech? They've heard that it's been rewritten.
Well, I actually talked with State Senator Robbie Mills, Doug, one of the many who are on the floor from Kentucky. Of course, the focus will be on the tone the former president hits in his message tonight. We've heard reporting all week saying he will talk a lot about unity, but does that mean unity within the Republican Party or the country as a whole? And where will that message hit with Kentuckians and top state Republicans right there in Milwaukee in that convention hall? Of course, I asked State Senator Robbie Mills, who's been on that floor all week, what he expects from Trump's address tonight.
He'll still be the same fighter that we all know, and there'll probably be a few barbs and jabs in there. But I think you may see a more mature Trump that's really sticking to policies. It'll be very interesting. It'll probably be a long speech. I mean, we'll all be ready for an hour-plus speech, but we're excited.
Hour plus, he predicts. And as you know, Trump dominated Kentucky back in 2020, topping Joe Biden by more than 20 points here in the state.
So he thinks Donald Trump will speak for an hour?
He says hour plus.
Hour plus.
So
okay.
for us, our purpose is late 11 o'clock newscast.
That's right. Coverage begins at 10. So last night they heard from J.D. Vance, who talked a lot about his Eastern Kentucky roots, and he brought up coal in Kentucky. And, you know, for the Kentucky folks there in Milwaukee, that had to be very interesting. What are they looking to hear from Donald Trump tonight?
It's interesting you bring that up. When he mentioned coal country and brought up Eastern Kentucky, the cameras actually panned to Kentucky's delegation, and you could see them clapping during that moment. So that's very much going to be a focus for what they want to hear from former President Trump here tonight. This concept of energy independence. That's what State Senator Robbie Mills really focused on and would like to hear from moving forward from the former president.
Okay, and Isaiah will be here tonight also talking to folks in Milwaukee as the speech is underway to get their reaction. Thanks, Isaiah.